Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Dynasty Racing League TV. My name's Ryan Branch. I'm joined in the booth tonight by Getty Buckner and Martin Wenzel, who will also be popping in and out. This is the very first race of the DRL Winter Oval Series at Daytona. Ran a little bit of a practice race last week at the Watkins Glen, and this week we're live for some more oval action. This thing should be pretty exciting, guys. You ready for this?
Absolutely. No, it's 31 degrees of banking. You know, everyone knows what Daytona is. Everyone knows what to expect. And with this different type of car, you know, the older version, what used to be the B Series vehicle, I believe, you know, the bumper is not lining up perfect. It's going to be pretty chaotic tonight. I'm pretty excited.
I can't wait for this thing to get underway. It's going to be a blast, that's for sure.
Yeah, we get the new dynamic sky.
Yeah, brand new to iRacing today. They just put the update into effect this afternoon, so we do have day-night transitions and things of that nature. So see the sun there casting, you know, a shadow over the booth up behind the stands. Pretty nifty.
Yeah, it gets really bright there on that on the trial of it, looks like.
Mm-hmm. No, so I mean, that's one thing these drivers, I mean, this is going to be brand new. Not only are you driving side by side 200 miles an hour, but you also have glare. You also have, you know, sunshine to deal with now. So this will be very interesting.
Yeah, it looks like they have it set to 2 times speed, so yeah, James just came over. He's wondering why the sun position keeps resetting. And it's like, I think it resets. I'm not sure if it resets between. I don't think it reset between qualifying and race. I can't tell. Can't remember. Didn't look like it wasn't big change because the practice it was about the clock was saying about 5, almost 6 o'clock p.m. and now it's back about around 5 p.m.
So I think this camera setup is really meant for a it's meant for a rolling start here. So I don't know how good the start's gonna look because these guys are all just sitting in the pit right now. But
yeah, we have a pretty large field too, and this is just day one of 2 days of oval racing that we're going to have.
yeah, this is the A split. There will be a B split tomorrow night. It'll run like that throughout the season. This is the Winter Series, not an official series, but definitely some bragging rights to be had. And we split the guys up by iRating, so there was just a cutoff in the middle at about the 40 driver point. Obviously, there aren't 40 that will grid up tonight, but that should make for some healthy fields throughout the season, having 40 guys in each one of these splits, that's for sure. I'll get this starting grid rolling here.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I think it looks like there's, 27 drivers.
So I think we had Logan. What is it? Logan McNally. He starts in the first position. Thomas Harmon grabbing second. Joseph Health is going to start third. Christopher Pope in fourth. A little bit of a backup down there on pit road. Brandon Dalton starts in the fifth spot. Landon Hoff starts sixth. PG O'Leary in the 7th position. Ryan Berry is going to start 8th in that 45 machine. John Mullins will start 9th. Well, I don't know. My grid's all messed up.
Well, another thing that we'll have to keep an eye on is all the new faces that we're going to be seeing tonight too, Ryan.
Yeah, lots of rookies.
Yeah, you guys could hear quite a few of these names kind of butchered, but John Mullins is going to start in 9th. Wade Hustad in the 10th spot. Chris James 11th. John Dubuque, I'm guessing is how it's pronounced, is going to start in 12th. David Wright in 13th. Carl Dotson in the 14th position. It looks like we've already had a wreck on the track. Adam de Blasio starts 15th. Steve Turner starts 16th. Looks like Bill Edwards turned right into somebody. Nathan Jurgensen's going to start in the 17th spot. John Theodore in 18th. Michael Seal in the 19th position. Nicholas Lavelle in 20th. Mark Emerson 21st. And Bill Edwards, who was at the back there, did wait for the qualifying.
Yeah, he got smeared by Spencer Tart.
Yeah, so, it's like people already. It's getting really heated back there. Spencer Tart, Hesgard going at it a little bit over the radio. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to go back and I want to go back and just look at that and see what happened. Wow. Yeah, what happened here?
I'm just trying to get my camera to focus on somebody else
Whoa,
here.
yeah. It looks like what happened was is on pit road, the whole line just didn't go. And so then they all kind of ran into each other. They piled up because they all started going, and the guy, like, about 5-6 cars in front didn't go. So Spencer Tart immediately had some heavy damage to his back end. Whoa, yeah, then what?
Well, green flag so far. We do have Logan McNally getting pushed by Joseph Held, a name we haven't seen in this league in a little bit now. So welcome back, Joseph Held, as he's trying to push, keep Logan here in the lead lap 1.
Yeah, Logan McNally's up there running hard. Joseph Helt was a guy who came in middle of last season in that Cup Series, ran really well, gave those guys a run for their money. I mean, we're at Daytona. This is definitely one of those tracks that's unlike any of the others in NASCAR. And here, Talladega, the restrictor plate tracks of NASCAR, again, they're not like any other track. It's going to provide for good racing, and it's going to provide for probably a huge wreck at some point. Not including that first one that we already had so far here tonight, but
yeah, I don't know if that was a mechanical issue. I mean, the last couple of weeks we've been having guys having some major mechanical issues with their wheels, their pedals, their just everything happening and falling off their desks, and I don't know. Yeah, I can't explain why Spencer Tart went just rear-ended and took out Bill Edwards there.
Looks like Joseph Helt trying to get a piece of the lead here as he ducks just there in front of Chris Pope on the outside. And one thing that we'll see tonight that we didn't see so much in the A Series is 2 distinct racing grooves.
yeah, the A Series tended to go single file when we visited Daytona the 2 times last year that we came to this racetrack. And these Pro Series cars, it's very, very easy to make not only a second line, but sometimes a third line out there. So you don't need 7 or 8 guys to do it. You only need 2 or 3. So that's going to provide for some really interesting pack racing. Got 45 laps to go here tonight. I don't know. 45 laps is a lot of time, guys. These guys got to be really patient. Do you know if they have to pit? I don't know what they did as far as fuel.
They will need fuel. Tires here will never be an issue, especially in this car. But one thing to keep an eye on is later, as you lose a little bit of grip and these the back ends of these cars get light on a fuel run. When you're bumping these cars, as I mentioned earlier, they do not line up. The bumper and the rear and front bumpers don't line up. So it's going to be very interesting what happens later on in a run when these cars are a little bit lighter.
Yeah, they're going to get light, and they're going to want to push. The guy that from behind is going to want to push more and more, be more inclined to get as close as possible to the car in front of him. And if you see 2 of these cars that get really, really close to one another, your front bumper will almost go up underneath the rear bumper of the car in front of you.
Whoa! 45 there. Ryan Berry, again, trying to learn all these new names and numbers here. He almost took out half that top pack there.
Yeah,
getting stuck there in the middle.
We'll take some time to get used to the new numbers. Even drivers that we had previously in the league have changed numbers for this winter series. So by the time we learn them, Getty, I'm sure we'll be heading back into the regular season, and it won't even matter at that point, right?
Right. No,
yeah,
exactly.
I keep seeing the 68, and I keep thinking that's Garrett Maines because he's running the 68 in the Pro Series. Yeah, then 44 gets into the 7. That takes out. That's going to take out the whole field. Oh man.
Brandon Dalton. Oh no.
Oh,
wow. He's on his roof.
And the 44 gets away unscathed. Yeah, he was the one that looks like the 44 kind of started at 44. And the 9 and the 7 all got into each other. 44 gets away. The 7 and 9 are gone and collect a lot of the rest of the cars.
So we're going to go watch that again from Chris Pope's cam here and see exactly what happened, but it wasn't pretty, that's for sure. Let's see if we can get a better look here.
Well, yeah. Just before this wreck, I was going to make mention of how aggressive Joseph Helt had been. Picking lanes, blocking the outside, blocking the inside. Just something that I don't normally see from these drivers so early on, lap 5. And with the aggressive pinch by Chris Pope, that allowed an opportunity for the 44 to, it looks like maybe net code just a little bit to the outside of him, or on the inside of him, rather.
That sent Chris Pope onto his hood, spinning like crazy for a long time there. So I think that will be the end of his nights. We saw
I
Bill
do believe
Edwards.
there's fast repairs. I do believe there's
There might be
fast.
one, yeah. I'm not sure. But yeah, that looked like the 44 was down there, and he got pinched down by both the 9 and the 7, Chris Pope. So who's the 9? The 9 is, give him a name, Landon Howe.
But yeah, they do have the one fast repair, but that doesn't necessarily mean they want to use it lap 5 because with there being 2 lanes here, guys, it's not going to be easy to work your way back through the field. The track position, even though it is a restrictor plate, is still pretty important, even though we do have a long way to go yet. But wow, that was an incredible hit. I do know Chris Pope, he runs virtual reality, and he probably just about threw up on that spin.
Yeah, I think
that was a big one right there.
The goggles would have came off for that, that's for sure. I just watched the onboard cam here of Brandon Dalton as he races up there. Sorry, guys, for the graphics. Even my cockpit cam seems a little bit off. Recently upgraded to 3 monitors, and my settings are different on a single screen than they are from triple screen, so I'm kind of sitting back in the cockpit there. But Brandon Dalton just had no way to avoid that. Instantly, those cars came right down into him. This fast repair, you know, like saying, that will save many of these guys. I don't know if Bill Edwards elected to even use his fast repair from that wreck before the race. He currently sits 1 lap down, but even if he didn't use it, he'll have the chance to get the lucky dog during the next caution. And
I'm still seeing some beat up cars, so perhaps the fast repair option is not being enforced this race. I'm not exactly sure. We got guys on pit road for way too long. Landon Howe, he's been on there for 160 seconds.
Some of these guys should have taken if there was a fast repair, would have taken it, just because their cars were so destroyed, they're probably not going to be able to continue. That's
even
the whole point of a fast repair.
Brandon Dalton's still very broken up, so maybe there is not a fast repair. We will have to get clarification from the owner of the league, the person who made the session here tonight. But Brandon Dalton, the 85, his hood's still all crunched up, so not sure if these guys were able to use a fast repair or not. But definitely had some change up. Oh, go ahead, Martin.
I'm just hearing them talking over the radio, talking about like that, what actually caused that, and they keep kind of saying it's like kind of the hitbox and the netcode. On my screen, they were right on top. They made massive contact, and
well,
the 9 and the 7 took the brunt of it.
Of course, there's going to be netcode. There was a little. We did see a little bit, but that
they
doesn't
were so
mean
close, though.
That doesn't mean they weren't aggressively pinching them down. Something that again,
I mean, they were on top of each other. There was no. It wasn't. We've seen some netcode where it's the car. They're almost a car length apart, and suddenly a car goes spinning. But
so Wade Hustad comes in there and takes a 0.89 second pit stop. So I don't know if maybe he had a stop and go just now, or if again the fast repair was in action and he was able to come in, get a fast repair, and get out. But Hustad was sitting up in the 7th position, and it only takes a 1 second pit stop there. Very strange.
Yeah, well, in first place we have
Robbie Armstrong.
Robbie Armstrong, winner of the Winona Road Truck Series.
I'm looking at Chris Pope's car now, and it is crisp and clean. The fast repairs are active. Yep. There's no way that it's not. There's no way that
definitely took a lot of damage. So.
Alrighty then. So Chris Pope, after getting the repairs, though, he is sitting a lap down.
Yeah, Landon Howe, his car is completely clean too. So they took fast repairs.
What we might see though is if it's minor damage and people know that they can get away with it, I think you only get the 1 fast repair. So
yeah, you don't want to spend it on minor damage. Yeah,
especially lap 5, they want to see if they can save it. But some of those cars, not so much on the save and the fast repair.
Yeah, I'm wondering if I'm looking at. Oh, can't get on here. There we go. I'm wondering if Spencer Tart. Yeah, I wonder if did Tart get involved in that big wreck because his car is now completely clean. Him and Bill Edwards have completely cleaned their cars up, so I'm wondering if they got involved in that big wreck, because otherwise, at least for Spencer Tart, he just had rear end damage from that incident at the beginning of the race. But now his car's completely clean, so
it looks like a
mistakenly took the repair. Yeah.
the majority of these guys up in that top 10. I think I was still in replay mode before, so maybe Brandon Dalton just hadn't gotten the repair because it was still under replay. But his car is freshly clean. All the cars I see inside the top 10 are pretty much brand new looking. So these guys are going to get another shot at it. We're 9 laps in out of 45. It's basically like we're starting all over at lap 0. Again, these guys need to be patient. As Getty was just saying, Robbie Armstrong leading it right now as I pull this graphic up, thanks to Mr. Martin Wenzel, who's in here broadcasting with us tonight. Robbie Armstrong did win that Winona Road Truck Series. He was the champion of that series, and he's very good at these restrictor plate tracks. So these guys are going to have to watch out for Mr. Armstrong. He could try to run away with this one.
Well, I've had the pleasure of watching Robbie all season, and one thing, he just shows up and he stays in these races. It's 0 DNFs last season in the Truck Series. So I mean that's huge. Is keeping your nose clean, and he knows how to do it just about better than anybody in this league here.
Yeah, that's pretty good too, because there's always going to be a couple races where you're going to get taken out and not finish, and he somehow avoided that.
And we are green flag racing yet again.
Yeah, the sun is going down. It's getting a little bit darker on the track.
Now, what these drivers are now aware that these cars do wreck. Maybe they had forgotten. I'm not sure. Now, hopefully, they can maybe calm down a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of single file here, but you know, I guess you never know. These A guys are so competitive.
That's the weird thing in these cars, too, is that it's so easy to drive in that second line that you almost don't want to go single file because you're going to give up 7, 8, 9 positions to do it because the guys in the bottom line just aren't going to let you down there. So I know that's running through these guys' mind, but also with that and how easy it is to stay up there, you could run a car width, 2 car widths away from that inner line and be just fine up top.
Yeah, and one thing I'm seeing, I don't know if it's the setup. I'm not sure if it's just the guys haven't been restrictor plate racing in a while. Maybe some of the new faces, not quite sure how to race with some of these other guys, but there is a lot of movement in these lines. It seems like they're having a little bit of an issue staying in line without so much side-by-side motion here. That could be the car setup again, but a lot of motion right now, which actually was the cause of that last wreck.
Yeah, the one I'm watching right now is Joseph Helt behind, who's the 45? 45 is
That's what
Ryan
I was
Berry.
just about to say. Ryan Berry in that 45
he's
car.
back there behind him.
He's pinching down close to the 3 and the 44, maybe unnecessarily.
Yeah, these guys have a short memory.
Yeah, last time the 44 was in that position, he got pinched out, and that took out the 7 and the 9 and a lot of other cars. And a lot of these guys now don't have that fast repair, so this is there's some real stakes now, I would think. I'm assuming there's only one fast repair, of course.
Yeah, they need to be very careful up there. I can't count the number of times that I've been running in second position on that outside line, and that 44 moves up just a bit in the corner, and you're pinching down too hard, and he not only takes you out, but there's no chance that your car survives because 7 other guys behind you are going to plow you. So,
well, yeah, driving these K&N cars, a different car that we're used to broadcasting. We were used to broadcasting those the Monster Series cars. But we've so far had the Pro Series, and earlier this week in the Pro Series, a lot of cautions. But I think with this series, there's going to be a fewer cautions just because, again, we're going to be on the bigger tracks.
Yeah, no short track racing. That'll happen. I mean, that's just
going to happen,
especially in these high horsepower vehicles.
I can tell you right now, Ryan Berry and Joseph Helt, the 45 and the 02 there, are just making me so nervous I can barely watch.
They're flirting with it, aren't they?
That's it. I don't think they're doing it on purpose. It's got to be the package and just the way that car's handling out there. Obviously, I'm not in it. I will be tomorrow night, but I hope it's not as hard as it looks.
It looked like Helt went under his bumper that last stretch there.
And one thing again with these, you know, you've got the lower air intake on these cars, and it doesn't line up with the rear bumper. So you know, Joseph Helt's going to be looking for air here in a little bit, and if he, you know, doesn't time it right, he's going to end up hooking to 45. But you can see, judging by some of the names in the back of the pack, people have kind of taken notice of you know, how volatile it is up there. You know, you've got champions and race winners in the very back, such as Hasgard, Izinga, Spencer Tart, Chris Pope. They've decided to take it easy here for a little bit.
You know, it's
Well,
funny
this field also, this field is not the same field that we broadcasted in Cup this whole season. This includes guys that were driving trucks. We're driving the Grand National Series. You know, Hesgard. You got Chris Pope in the lead right now. Matt Kleinschmidt right back there. I see him. So this is a spread of guys who have not raced around each other for points a whole lot, but their iRatings in the same clump. So a little bit different field today.
Minor correction to what Martin said. That's actually Robbie Armstrong in the lead, not Chris Pope. But
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't know why I said Chris Pope.
the thing with the I rating and how that works in iRacing, you can earn I rating just racing in the trucks nonstop. So for some of these guys,
Yeah.
they're not used to riding in an A car or a B car or even this Pro Series car. Some of them, maybe the A car guys don't even race in this vehicle very often. So it's definitely a different race for all of them out there. But I was going to mention the likes of S2R, Silent Syndicate Racing. There's a few of them there towards the back of the pack. I've raced many a restrictor plate race with Hesgard and Bill Edwards and Thomas Harmon, and they kind of like to sit around and just bide their time all the way in the rear, but make sure they have enough juice to get back up with the main pack and wait until about 5, 6, 7 laps to go in order to try to make their moves.
Yeah, and Thomas Harmon's in his usual spot, leading the way for that S2R team, running 13th right now, and you know, had a kind of a heartbreaking end to the Cup Series, for the Cup season, but yeah, I believe he's pretty good at these restrictor plate races.
No, absolutely. Logan, he has actually given up that second spot to go down pit road as they go 3 wide for second.
Yeah, and he burned off his tires getting slowed down and almost went out of control. Lots of smoke coming out of his back tires there as he was just mashing the brakes.
Yeah, I gotta learn some of these new names. Is it Logan McAnally or McAnally or?
Yeah, it looks like Mick. Yeah, there's an extra A in there.
Right.
McAnally.
It looks like he actually blew up, guys, and that's one of the things you're talking about. Joseph Held bouncing around so much. I mean, that's not tire smoke. He was he was puffing smoke before he even ducked down. I think he actually blew his engine.
You know, the 5.58 second pit stop, that would leave me inclined to assume he took a fast repair just to get that engine fixed. So these guys got to watch their temps for sure.
Yeah, I didn't see any smoke until he was hitting the brakes, so I don't know. But yeah, that's the only explanation for going down there too. It's like I don't know why else he would feel the need to have to go down pit road and completely take himself out of the draft.
No, yeah, you don't pit like that. In hindsight,
yeah, you don't. That was like last second thing that he had to do.
Well, it not only, you know, made him go down pit road and kind of ruins his chances if the thing goes green, but the 3 of Robbie Armstrong got completely decimated by that. Oh, as the 95 is turned coming down the backstretch.
Carl Dodson.
He's going to be thrilled about that. And can he lock that down? That's going to come back out and bring out a yellow flag.
Yeah, Carl Dodson does spin around backwards, has a few other cars going around him. Thankfully, does not collect anybody else, and he will get the car spinned around and get back out there. But that is going to bring out the second caution for this evening. Ooh. If there could be pre-race cautions, it would be 3 cautions already here tonight, but...
yeah. It was a little bit of a sloppy start to the race.
Yeah, if that wasn't good foreshadowing, I don't know what was.
Right? So the 95 of Carl Dodson there does get spun around. He is blowing some smoke out the rear of the car. Hopefully still has one of those fast repairs left. Guys, you're going to have to...
I'm not getting that rear-end smoke, so I can't see it when they lose their engines.
So, Martin, with the update today, they did make some graphic changes as well. So if you did not go back into your graphics settings and turn graphics back up, yeah, they made some changes to graphics today. So I apologize to the viewers at home, too. I kind of am having issues controlling the cam right now. ATVO is not wanting to work for me the way I want it to.
Yeah, don't turn down my details here. What are you guys thinking?
Yeah, see? I knew they did it.
Yeah, they turned down the sky and the clouds to medium.
Yeah, it's because of the new graphical additions. Definitely going to put more strain on some video cards out there. That's why I think they just did it to be safe and kind of.
But I can't. Yeah, I'm looking through here. I can't see any other reason why I wouldn't be seeing the smoke, though.
Guys, we're going to go to a quick commercial break so I can reset some graphics here. We will be right back. Thank you again to all of our viewers for tuning in. 20 out of 45. We'll be going green here in a couple more laps.
what a move. Truex on the outside, contact made. 56 slides it into 4. Who's going to be into the stripe? Dead even, give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
Welcome back, everybody. Back from that quick commercial break. Trying to get these graphics back up on the screen for you here. So, guys, pretty interesting race we've had so far. Maybe a couple more cautions than we expected, but only one really major accident thus far.
Yeah, we had the big one, quote unquote, but you know what? That's certainly not the last one we're going to have, and a lot of that is the racing that this car and setup is promoting, which is the 2x2, you know, that outside line working very well, and also, as you know, we've mentioned a few times, and we've actually then seen an example of, is the fact that these cars have to search for air. In the A car, they were able to keep that gap. The closing rate wasn't significant enough where, you know, you were so close to the driver in front of you that the gap didn't let you, you know, let any air in. But now in these cars, you are right on the back bumper of that person, and these engine temperatures are just spiking. So we've seen one person at least blow up, and that was Logan McNally. I'm sure he'll yell at us later that we're getting that wrong. So I mean, that's going to be the story, I think, because you know, with 2-3 laps to go, there's no more holding back. It's going to be 2x2 all the way back, and someone's going to blow up front. And you know, if it's like in the middle of a corner or something, Martin, you know, that could really stack the field up. I don't think we've seen our last big wreck.
Yeah, I mean, any mistake here will collect quite a few drivers.
And we see, and it's not it's not like poor driving. The wrecks that we've seen, well, except for on the start, the wrecks that we've seen is just you know, just a little bit here and there. You know, what happened with Carl and what happened with Chris Pope earlier is just, it's just the game of inches there. It seems like, you know, it wasn't anything significant. It wasn't somebody, you know, went up half a groove or anything. It was just an inch, and it took out 7, 8, 9 cars. And I can't anticipate that won't happen again. But the lights are on, Martin. These look good. This night to day transition, again, this is day 1 of this release by iRacing, and it does it looks very, very sharp.
Yes, it actually transitions and everything.
As advertised. And I know this is one of 2 big things that people are waiting for. 3 if you count the AI that iRacing is testing. But you know, the transition to day and night, and then everyone's been anticipating a new damage model, which would certainly be on display tonight as well. You know, with the more.
This update only adds the day to night transition, yeah.
No, you know, you're right. But I'm just saying that's the other one that people have been waiting for.
I know they've been working on, or I think they've been talking about doing weather, you know, especially for like Road Series, because Road Series does go in rain. NASCAR, not so much.
Yeah, let's hope not. I'll have to add a whole new dimension to my driving game, and I'm busy enough just trying to figure out how to go in a circle as it is. But the lights are off, Martin, and this pace car is going to be ducking down pit road here in just a second, and we have, you know, we're just about ready to crest the halfway point here, and we still have a full field of race cars hungry for a win.
Yeah, it's definitely really fun to watch these cars. Nice big field of these cars. The Pro Series, you don't get as many cars out there. And it's short track racing. This is going to be a little bit of a different series.
Well, speaking of Pro Series, Martin, our Pro Series driver that won the Daytona race earlier this year, Matt Kleinschmidt, he's restarting on that outside line, so he obviously knows how to get it done in these cars.
Yeah, he is really pinching that line, and you can see. Let me get a closer view here to see who these guys are. Yeah, Robbie Armstrong there was trying to find some room with Matt on the outside, pinching him down.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like the outside line is as aggressive, but Matt Kleinschmidt does drop down, as does the 45. It leaves Brandon Dalton to lead that outside train. And Carl around again in the back of the pack. Oh, there goes Robbie.
So was there another car going earlier than that?
Yeah, Carl.
Oh, yeah. That was Carl Dotson already going out, and then Robbie and Brandon Dalton. And that's going to collect a few more cars.
Yeah, Carl Dotson got hooked a little bit by the 31. And in front of these guys, Robbie, it looks like there was a little bit of netcode again. Brandon Dalton trying to maybe pinch on exit. Robbie Armstrong actually moved up about half a groove following the 45 in front of him.
Yeah. I'm looking back at Carl Dotson, and it looked like he just got... I'm going to watch his speed here. Yeah, he kind of slowed down. He lost about 5 miles per hour, and the 31 and Nathan Jurgensen got into his rear end. I feel like Nathan Jurgensen. I think Nathan Jurgensen is Thomas Harmon's spotter this season, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe he was John Theodore's spotter last season, and
or maybe John Theodore's. Yeah, maybe it was John Theodore's spotter. That makes sense.
But I tell you what, that wreck was huge because that was Brandon Dalton. I believe that was his second.
Yeah, that's gonna be. That might be it. I think that's. Yeah, let me see what I'm going to go back up and look at that between. I was right on them watching them when it happened. Yeah, it looks like Dalton just kind of came down and Armstrong kind of coasted up. You could kind of see a little bit of netcode, but where they were, I mean, the netcode is just it's kind of anticipating what's going to happen, really.
Yeah, I mean, it was going to happen regardless because Robbie was following the 45 in front of him who didn't have any traffic to the outside. And Brandon Dalton was kind of come down. You know, that's the name of the game. You get that side draft, and they just kind of were fighting for the same real estate, netcode or not. That was almost inevitable there. Feel bad for Robbie Armstrong, doubly bad for Brandon Dalton, who has been kicked around these last few races on his return to iRacing. In the Pro Series, he was getting beat up pretty good, and then last night I know he made some contact with Ryan Hesgaard in the Road Series that we had, but. Unfortunate for him, I don't think there's more than one fast repair, and I think his day is done. But that's probably one driver that's going to be looking forward to getting to Rockingham.
Rockingham. How I can't wait for Rockingham.
Yeah, that's actually my only official win in the K&N series is at Rockingham, so I'm kind of looking forward to it too. I always do get excited for Daytona, even though it is kind of a, I guess for lack of better words, kind of a crapshoot. You know, it really evens the playing field. Everyone and anyone can win, but at Rockingham, it's a very different ball game. That's for sure.
After his second big wreck of the night, Robbie Armstrong only spending 23 seconds down pit road. He still is on the lead lap. He will get back out on the track, and I mean, these cars aren't quite as touchy as far as damage is concerned, like the A cars are. I think he will be able to get back out there and hold a decent amount of speed, even with a little bit of damage to the car. So.
Robbie could still have that fast repair left. I know Brandon Dalton does not. He used his up, and I'm trying to look and see who else was involved in that first wreck there.
Isn't Robbie the one who went for a spin on the hood of his... Oh, was that Chris Pope early in the race that did that?
That was Chris Pope
that
decided to test the aeronautic abilities of his car. To no avail, of course.
Not the aerodynamics, but the aeronautic ability?
Yeah, the ability the ability for flight.
Yeah. See if he could make it into space.
He almost did.
Well, he did look like a spinning propeller there early in the race. So we've got interesting thing going on here. So Ben Izinga came down and got a pit, but is still out in front of Nicholas Lavelle and in front of Nathan Jurgensen. So he's on 7-lap old tires. Spencer Tart as well on 7-lap old tires in that 7th position. The top 9 drivers in this race right now all have 26-lap old tires. So
yeah, with the cautions that we've had, Ryan, fuel I don't think is no longer an issue. I'm pretty confident in that. But again, with the tires and how light these cars and can be, especially on a low fuel run, I can't say for sure how important tires are, but certainly having newer tires can't hurt.
it'll definitely give them a little bit more control in the split second. Things happen if you got to pull out of somebody's way. So a majority of the drivers that are still out there, I think we have 11 or 12 of them are on the same exact tires they started this race with. So.
And again, just mentioning Joseph Held, he's been up front this whole race. He and Ryan Berry both have done a great job. But Matt Kleinschmidt, he did win in the K&N series, in the K&N car, in the Pro Series at Daytona. So he knows how to get it done here in this car, and it's I guess it's not that big of a surprise that we see him up front here tonight.
Oh, I'm sure he definitely wouldn't mind getting a second one in a row. That's for sure.
Right. No, absolutely. And Kleinschmidt's always been a great driver. He had 3 wins in the Truck Series this season. He was 3 points away from making the cutoff to ride for the championship at Homestead, a race he ended up winning. So I know he's one of those drivers that he's going to think all off season what could have been.
That's really what these guys are using this series for, is just a practicing ground, get used to one another, and get out here and race around each other every week. So when it comes down to that regular season, you can do everything you need to and know exactly how the driver next to you normally rides,
Right. And with a little bit less than 20 laps to go, we're starting to see some faces kind of get back to the front here. John Theodore, he's just about in the top 5. Wade Hustad, Spencer Tart. Some of those S2R guys that you were talking about, Chris Pope and Chris James from DPR, they're still riding in the back. But some of the, if we get another wreck or two, people use their fast repair. This field's going to start to thin out a little bit. We still have a lot of cars out there right now, though.
Yeah, you talk about a wreck or two. We've got less than 20 laps to go. Hopefully there isn't 2 or more wrecks still to go here, but it's been interesting already. I think we've had, what is that, caution number 3 or 4 already on the night, so.
I believe, yeah, because Carl Dotson was a single spin previously that brought out the caution. And Martin, did you pay attention? Did he get damage on that second spin that right before our last caution?
Who's that?
Carl Dotson. Is he?
Oh, yeah, I would think
Did
he
he?
got
Okay.
some damage. I'm going to look, and yeah, he's got some rear end damage. I assume he got the fast repair after his first incident. So, yeah, he's got a little bit of rear end damage. Yeah, his whole left side is pretty banged up.
Not sure if it was just on the broadcast, my screen or not, but Matt Kleinschmidt doing a little blinking as they paced there and blinked almost right as the restart came. So that could cause some problems. He might be asked to pull off if it continues running in that front spot on a track like Daytona. Blinking is not something you want to be doing, that's for sure.
Look at Carl Dotson's damage. That damage model looks... I don't know, I just haven't looked at these cars when they're all scratched up on the side and got the little tire marks and everything.
I don't know if it's the day and night transition or what it is, but for whatever reason, I know we've done Daytona night races before here, but the lights and the way they shimmer off of these cars now seems different to me. It makes the whole track seem so much nicer. I don't know. We have another car up into the wall there. We're going to have another caution already, so I'm sure, when I ride around in these things in the official races, sometimes I call the game pacing because it can get frustrating on a track like this when pace speed is only 65 miles an hour to ride 2.5 miles around a racetrack at 60. You're talking about some long pace laps. You got to wait for everybody to line back up, that pace car to come back out. It can make what should be a fairly short race turn into a very long one. It can make things frustrating down the stretch.
Yeah, that was John Dubuque. Him and David Wright got to each other. It looked like David Wright actually, well, I don't know. It kind of looks like David Wright was kind of coasting up. Yeah, it looked like he was moving up, and then as soon as he made contact with John Dubuque, he couldn't kind of turn the car back down. He was kind of forced up towards the wall. Dubuque gets into the wall and
he went for a ride on the wall.
On his hood a little bit. Yep.
Yeah, Dubuque, he's pinching a little bit. Obviously, he was just about ready to lose that draft to the outside, and instead of just burping the throttle and going inside David there, David moves up about half a groove, and that's just what this type of racing promotes. You try to get as close as you can to the driver next to you.
Yeah, and then Wright's hooked and can't really move it back down. Just kind of drives it back up to the track, up that track towards the wall, and Dubuque gets pinched off then with the wall.
Oh, so Kleinschmidt elects to pit here. Giving up very good track position here. It looks like he might be the only one besides some of the damaged cars in the back. So Kleinschmidt, he's going to have some work to do if he wants to see that front again.
I don't know if either one of you can maybe comment on it or talk to race control, possibly being a end of line for him for the blinking issues that he was having. I'm not sure if that's the case, but possibility. 2 drivers did not actually participate. The last 2 you guys see there, they're 29 laps down now, but 28 drivers active for this race. Bill Edwards currently sits in that 28th spot, 6 laps down. Brandon Dalton out of the race at this point. He's also 6 laps down. Carl Dotson, after a couple unfortunate incidents, is going to be 26th. John Dubuque is sitting in that 25th position after this caution he just brought out. And then you have 24 drivers still on the lead laps. So even with all the cautions that we've had tonight, and you know the big one that we did have, it came early in the race. The guys were able to get the faster pair, and most of these guys still on the lead lap looking for a win here.
Yeah, and to your point earlier, the cautions here, it's only magnified by the fact that these are such long pace laps. Nor in any race we're going to have 3, 4, 5 cautions. That's just the way it is. I mean, this is as close to real life racing as you can get, and we are by no means professional drivers. So cautions are going to happen, but the fact that we're going around, you know, this enormous 2.5 mile track at such a slow speed, it really makes it, it really magnifies, you know, the issue. Thinking back to your phrase of eye pacing, which is heard quite frequently.
It is, though. You got to love those official races where they make them nice and short, and you still sit there and pace for 80% of it. But like Martin said earlier, a lot of familiar faces up towards the front. John Theodore, Joseph Helt. Helt runs in second. Ryan Berry, a new face to the league. He runs in the first spot. John Theodore, third. Wade Hustad in the fourth spot. Obviously, one of the favorites to win that Cup Series this prior year. Mark Emerson, not a familiar face per se. Thomas Harmon runs in the 6th position, that first driver for S2R. And then John Mullins, Spencer Tart in 7th and 8th. Those guys very familiar with the Dynasty Racing League, ran with us all season last year. So it's kind of a mix. I mean, a lot of familiar faces up front. You know, people I would be concerned about: John Theodore, Wade Hustad. You know, those guys are good. Joseph Helt showed what he had towards the end of the last season. But a lot of new guys as well. So coming out here and showing what they have, and maybe want to prove to everybody else that they belong in the league.
Right, and Mark Emerson, we've seen a lot of him on road. So I think this is his first official oval series with us. Again, Mark Emerson running in the 5th position.
Well, that would be my ignorance, Getty. Don't mind that.
No, I'm just saying, like, he's, you know, this is kind of something that we haven't seen him do yet. And, you know, I know him pretty well from racing with him in the Indy Series last year and through the first 2 races of the Winter Road Series that we have had so far. And so it's cool to see road guys do oval, and it's also been cool to see our oval guys do some road. Guys out of their element just a little bit, and he's doing really well tonight.
Tell you what, Anthony Burroughs coming out of this oval series, him going in and doing the road series the last 2 weeks in that Skip Barber car has been a sight to watch, I can tell you that.
Yeah, no, Garrett Maines, and Tater Bowman, those have been the strongest drivers. Anthony Burroughs is obviously known for all the wins he racks up in our oval series, but he's coming out and saying, hey guys, guess what? I can kind of do something else too. And Tater Bowman also saying, hey, I'm not just an admin. I don't just own this league. I can actually race in it too. So that's been awesome to watch.
So you guys see it there on the screen. Wade Hustad, who currently runs in the 4th spot right now, he was the Cup Series champion last year. So 10 wins under his belt in that Cup Series. He had 27 top 10s. Yeah, 10 wins, that's all. Only topped by the like of Anthony Burroughs, who we were just speaking of, who did run in those Skip Barber cars the last couple of weeks. But it's definitely going to be a guy to watch out for in the closing laps of this race. He sits on the outside line. I'm sorry, he sits in 3rd, not 4th position. That was just the table standings at the time, but it's not all about you know, how great you are at driving in this one. I wouldn't say necessarily, because there's a lot of stuff that goes into these 1.5 mile tracks, or even the smaller tracks, such as lines and your braking and when to get out into the gas, out of the gas. Here you just have to be very, very careful and pick your opportunities at the right time. And there's drivers in real NASCAR like Dale Earnhardt Jr. himself. You know, he'd come out and be a mediocre driver throughout the season, and then it came to a restrictor plate, and he was coming in the top 5 every single race, and you wondered, how did he do it? Because it's not that this isn't like, you know, it's not that this isn't racing. It's just very different form of racing when we come to these restrictor plate tracks.
Yeah, it's not something you can really practice since they only do 4, you know, of the almost 40 races they do a season, 4 of them have to do with restrictor plate races, and except, you know, excluding the All-Star race. But yeah, here we are about to go green again, Ryan and Martin.
Yeah, I can't wait to get this thing underway again. Before we had Joseph Helt and the 45 working together on the outside line early in the race, and now Ryan Berry gets the start on the inside. Joseph Helt is to the outside of him, and he has none other than Wade Hustad pushing behind him. So,
and Ryan Berry has the pleasure of having John Theodore behind him. You know, 2 championship caliber drivers there pushing those 2 vehicles in the lead.
Have a car or 2 here and there, a large field that is blinking on and off the track, so hopefully that doesn't come into play. I think the most recent one I saw was Spencer Tartt there in that 28 car, so let's see if we can get some clean green laps under our belt here, fellas.
Yeah, the outside line's getting a little, you know, because instead of the 2 drivers working together, it almost seems like 3. Outside line has a pretty decent momentum. Emerson's going to join the party out there as well, and that's actually going to give the outside line a huge advantage. You got to be careful for John Mullins. As soon as he catches John Theodore, he's going to have a huge speed advantage.
And what do you know, the 68 there, Thomas Harmon, up into the 5th spot now, so definitely ready to make his move. Only 11 laps left in this race. Emerson, as you just spoke of, doing very well himself, running that number 23 car.
A lot of movement, guys. A lot of movement. My goodness.
Yeah, they're all over the place. Again, 34 laps on the tires for a majority of these guys. You got to go all the way back to the 9th spot, and that 28 is Spencer Tartt before you find someone with fresher tires. So things are going to get interesting in the closing laps of this race with guys, you know, you say all over the place. I don't even think we've seen the half of it yet.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's very true. But John Mullins did catch up to John Theodore there, and the inside line is able to kind of get back to being even with the outside, and it is just 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 all the way back to David Wright in 16th spot.
Go back to the 15th position here. Ryan Hesgaard in that number 2 car. They have some distance between that lead pack. Actually, he's right at the end of that lead pack. He is one of those guys I talked about earlier. He likes to wait till the end of these plate races to make his moves. I think it might be go time. He was the odds-on favorite to win the B Series last year. Ended up getting overtaken. Had some unfortunate stuff happen to him at Homestead, but I think you'll see him start to move towards the front if he can. And Ben Izinga, his teammate, he sits in the 10th spot. And then again, as I spoke about before, Thomas Harmon, also a teammate of his, up in the 5th position now. So
now looking at Wade, looking at John, Ryan, you got to see these guys start peaking for air. Those engine temps are going to start spiking here in just a bit. So this is where it got dicey the last time.
Yeah, pushing hard on the guys in front of him. The 45 there of Ryan Berry. He tries to jump up in front of Joseph Helt, almost makes contact, jumps back down.
In the back.
And that's going to cause yet another caution. I don't know, man. I can almost attribute that to Ryan Berry up in the front. I feel like him sliding between those 2 lanes, it might have made that bottom lane check up. It made an accordion effect, and then you had the caution come out. It
is an accordion effect. The top lane had to check up huge for the Ryan Berry block. It starts there with the 23 of whoever that is. My goodness, I need to get through. Or the 80. Okay, no, it's the 83. Whoever is running the Reese's car. He gets checked up. I think he gets a little bit of a boot from David Wright, who shoots him right down into Jurgensen and Logan McNally. So I think Ryan Hesgaard got out of that without any damage. My goodness, if there's an onboard to watch, that would be the one.
Well, let's go grab Ryan Hesgaard's onboard then. Again, I apologize for this ugly cockpit you guys are about to see, but bear with me. Actually, I wonder if I can do the roll bar. There we go. The roll bar looks right. Let's go watch it from there.
Yeah, do the roll bar. Roll bar's more realistic anyway, right?
Here is the onboard cam of Ryan Hesgaard. You do see that Reese's car out on that outside line. He's going to come down and smack the crud out of the 44 here as they head into this corner. The accordion effect stacks him up. The 83 is going to get bumped. Oh,
Oh
maybe
yeah, that happens right in front of him.
I'm a second behind. Maybe it's in the next corner that it happens. Yeah, there it is. They all stack up.
Yeah, just
the
clears
38
nice.
lets off. How did Hesgard avoid that? What a break for him.
That
Two
was
cars
incredible.
to the inside, 2 cars to the outside. He
path
drives
for him.
right through it. It was like part the seas, open sesame.
Him and Chris
Yeah,
James both. Chris James, I don't know if he got through that without any damage, but he was, oh my goodness, he didn't. It was just by an inch. Chris James almost got through just as Hesgard did.
Yeah, Chris James, a little bit of front end damage there, looks like. Oh, Chris James was making a 3 wide when that happened too.
Yep.
So he was
Go
already
hard, go
risking
home.
it, and that kind of saved him a little bit actually, because
So I'm not sure what the 45. I would like to be in his mind. Maybe we can get a chat with him after the race, no matter where he finishes. Moving up there to block, guys. You're talking 8-9 laps still to go left in the race, and you know, I would say not necessarily did he move up to block. Maybe he wanted to get up on that high line because it was starting to move in front of him, and he didn't have the push from the bottom lane. But then he moves right back down immediately, and right after he moved down, the caution came out. I think, based on what I saw, it was a block, and in my opinion, an unnecessary one.
No, very much a block, and that's something you see with 2 to go, with 3 to go. It's certainly not at that point with 10 to go. Not. I don't know. I guess the way to say this nicely, you don't want to introduce yourself to a new league by blocking and causing a wreck by everyone behind you. Not to say that, you know, that's going to, you know, I mean, we all know it's Daytona. We'll head into next week and all the slates will be wiped clean, but you don't want to get the reputation as an over-aggressive driver, especially at restrictor plate races, because that's when people stop. That's when people start avoiding you. And that's where, you know, if you don't have friends here at Daytona, you're not going to finish very well.
well,
Yeah,
watching that, I was surprised he was able to pull that off, because it looked like he got behind. At least from the angle I was at, it looked like he got behind the inside car, and then he just comes back out and he pulls right in front of him.
I just couldn't believe he got in front of Joseph Helt in the first place. I mean, it had to be mere inches between the bumpers of their cars.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what
He got in
stacked
front of him.
that top lane up, so...
I
He got
wouldn't
in front of him, and then he got in front of the other guy too. It's like,
I wouldn't
wow.
necessarily say he got away with it, because there was bent sheet metal. It just wasn't his own because of it.
Well, he got away with it for this week, Getty. We'll see how things pan out. You know, if anybody goes back, watches the replay, finds out what really happened, and doesn't try to just blame it on the guy who was right next to him when the accident occurred, I don't know, yeah, might have a couple enemies going into Rockingham. But as you said, talking about a slate being wiped clean, it is Daytona. It's a completely different track. It's unlike any other. And next week at Rockingham, we're going to see who the real contending drivers are going to be in this series, because it's night and day difference between these two tracks.
Right. No, Rockingham, and then Mr. Pandolf did a really good job of building this schedule, because yes, of course, we're always going to start at Daytona. That's just the way it is. It doesn't matter what's, even in the Pro Series,
It's
which is
NASCAR,
all
man.
short tracks. Even with a Pro Series that's dominated by short track racing, we still started at Daytona. That's just the way it's going to be forever. But yeah, Rockingham, a one groove racetrack, very, with turns 1 and 2 being, you have to be so precise. Even if you slide up half a groove, you're losing 3 or 4 tenths on that lap time. But then we go to places like Kentucky and Michigan, where you have to be good at rolling the throttle. At Rockingham, it's brake, gas. Into Kentucky, there's different lines. Michigan, the series is going to be great, and I'm really excited to see all the different winners that can come out, because there's so many different types of racetrack. Lights are out, guys. It looks like we will get about a 5-lap shootout, assuming that it goes green. I'm pretty confident, though, the next flag, regardless of whether it's yellow or checkered, is going to determine the final results of this race. So both of these drivers are a little bit cautious, at least for the next race or two, or the next lap or two.
Yeah, Ryan Berry is I'm surprised he's able to type all that in as he's driving up there. It is a pace lap, though, or it is a yellow flag lap. So, but he's saying we don't like him that much. So we're just saying, hey, that was a was a big old block, and so
We just call it like we see it.
yeah, there's no. I mean, no, we're not hating on him or anything. I mean, it's his first race. I think this is his first ever DRL race, and the fact he's up there in the lead and fighting to keep it.
It worked because he's still in first.
Yeah, and it worked. I mean, it's like that's, is it always what you want to do? No, but yeah, it worked for him, and and it worked. Sometimes that's all that matters as a driver. For a driver, it's like, hey, I'm racing my race, and everyone else watch out.
The same with this last restart. You're still gonna have Theodore and Wade Hustad pushing these first two cars here.
Yeah, Mark Emerson making it 3 wide already.
Emerson did not like staying behind that 68. We'll see we'll see what kind of racing that promotes.
It looks like 68's going to kind of get a sandwich here because the 13, I think that's going to be Steve Turner, right?
Yeah, the 13 is Turner. Hesgard's going to come up and help Harmon. Obviously, those are teammates there.
Yeah, so now you got the S2R guys in that middle groove. You have Spencer Tart and Ben Izenga on the inside. So you got 6 cars there making it 3 wide, and Harmon's going to go up in front of Emerson now. Give him a little. That
might have been a little block. Yep, that's certainly a block. Probably didn't appreciate the 3 wide off the start there, but up front here, Barry trying to block on not Hustad, Held.
Held. Yeah, and he's going back and forth, but he's not going to be able to get down.
Oh, they have to check up behind him.
In front of Theodore now.
They had to check up behind him. Here goes Hesgard 3 wide. Oh, contact.
Yeah, a little bit of bumping.
Oh, Hesgard's around. Or no, Izenga's around. Hesgard.
Mark Emerson got a little damage. Thomas Harmon into the wall.
This thing's going to stay green. That was intense. Hesgard almost losing complete control of the car. And now we have a pack of 6 drivers out front.
Yeah, Hesgard's got a lot of damage, too, from that.
Emerson absolutely destroyed that wall. And these 6 drivers, here goes Theodore to the outside.
Yeah, that was Izenga really gave Hesgard a lot of help there because Hesgard was completely sideways.
Yeah, and that was part of that block. There was a block up front, and Hesgard, Hustad, you saw him kind of burp the throttle. Hesgard was not really in the mood to do that, and I can't necessarily blame him. You see an opportunity there, but here goes Theodore up front with Joseph Held pushing him.
Yeah, now you got that gap, 6 cars up here, and then Robbie Armstrong and Steve Turner right in between, and then another gap, and Ryan Berry goes up a little bit.
Huge shout out to John Mullins. He's been up front for most of this race. We haven't really called on his name much.
3rd place now.
There he is, with Hustad right behind him. Spencer Tart has to be careful here. He's going to lose that draft.
Now we're seeing things starting to change up a little bit. Guys going from the inside line to the outside line, moving everywhere they can. Only 2 to go here at Daytona, the first race of the Dynasty Racing League Winter Oval Series. Things are going to get intense as we're going to come around and collect 1 to go. Wade Hustad looking for a position with help pushing him from behind there.
Yeah, 2 guys you're not used to seeing in the lead spots, but this is Daytona. This is a different car. All 3 of those guys right there are Cup drivers. All 4 of those guys, Ryan Berry being a new guy, and John Theodore. I don't know what happened there.
Wade Hustad bumped the back end to the 89 there, so Wade Hustad's going to move into the lead. The 45 back to the outside, and the race is over.
That who was out front?
I think Hustad just had Ryan Berry edged.
Yeah, it's registering him as first, and yeah, Hustad by about a wheel there. He had the whole wheel.
Here comes Ryan Berry though. I think that's Barry's race.
Hustad let him around. It was after
the
caution
yellow flag
flag
was out
flew.
at that point.
I think it was after the caution flag flew that Hustad had the lead on the 45, because the 45 did have a nose in front of him as that caution flag came out, I believe.
Yeah, but as they... Oh, yeah. Let me see. Go back to that again.
It's not going to show on replay exactly when the caution flew, but you did see the 45 nose out in front of him, and I believe Ryan Berry in his very first race in the Dynasty Racing League is going to come out here and grab a win.
Let's see where it registers. I'm here to fish. Yeah, I mean, Ryan Berry's driving out front.
Man, I feel so bad for Theodore. He had a great opportunity there, man. Great opportunity.
Yeah, Hustad cannot be too happy with himself, barely tapping the rear end of the 89 there and kind of moving him out of the way. These guys are going to slow it down. Wow, what a finish.
They got to stop and let that pace car by. Otherwise, there's going to be a lot of issues.
Yeah, no, and we've seen that before at Indianapolis 500 earlier. Before a couple drivers kind of decided to finish the race before the pace car did, and they actually finished on the tail end of the lead lap.
Spencer Tart finishing 3rd, it looks like, or 4th.
Yeah, but we you know, kind of threw some shade at Ryan Berry there, but you know what? He is tonight's winner because of the couple blocks.
2 of those guys that we had a little bit of some issues today, Ryan Berry, but he was running for the lead. And then, of course, you had Spencer Tart with that issue right at the beginning of the race, and he finishes 4th. So, yeah, that was a interesting finish, to say the least.
But you know what? As far as point standings go, look who finished 6th, even after getting taken out earlier in the race. Look who it is.
Still there?
The old champion there, Mr. I finish races super strong for some reason.
Yeah, John Theodore finishes 4th despite getting knocked out. I thought he fell back way further before that yellow came out. That yellow flag was really late, I thought. You know, by time, I wonder what it caused that, and the fact that John Theodore still finishes 4th.
Wow, what a great race, guys. That was, I mean, you know, we had the couple cautions, but up front, man, there was no give and take. Very exciting. Say what you want about Ryan Berry, but he promoted a very exciting race up front.
That's Daytona.
And now
Matthew Ponte. I'm looking at Matthew Ponte. He's just got that black or kind of grayish black 38 car. Started in 28th, didn't set a qualifying lap or anything. Not sure if he had to do a penalty or anything there, but ends up finishing 10th in his first race. So, a couple of rookies putting themselves in the conversation. Ryan Berry, Steve Turner, Matthew Ponte. Steve Turner we've had in a few of these Pro Series races already, so...
No, what a great race, guys. And real quick, before we start doing all the interviews and stuff like that, I just want to do a huge shout out to our viewers. Each, you know, no matter what time of season it is, no matter what time of year it is, we've got, you know, 3+ races that go live each week here on DRL TV. So make sure to hit that subscribe button if you want, you know, get notified every time we go live here, which again, several times a week. Love the support that we get from our viewers. Absolutely love it. Ryan?
Yeah, we're going to go down to the track here as the 45 does his burnouts and enjoys his first win in his first race here at the Dynasty Racing League, and try to talk to a few of these guys on track. Firstly, I wanted to grab, I don't know if he's still around. I know he did exit the session, and we'll see if he's here or not, but I wanted to chat with Ryan Hesgaard and see if he was practicing wizardry there on lap 37, where he kind of parted the seas, but it looks like he has... Actually, no, there he is right there. Let's go ahead and grab him.
Yeah, he's there.
Grab a quick chat with him. Ryan Hesgaard, you got a copy?
Yeah, man, go ahead.
Hey, I just asked if you were practicing some wizardry there on lap 37. What was that like for you?
Oh, is he talking about when everybody parted seas and I drove to the middle?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh, man. I don't know. I couldn't see anything. Just all of a sudden they were sideways, and I mean, there's nothing I could do. Just got to drive through it, and we just got lucky. There's, you know, put ourselves in a spot to try to finish, and then it got kind of crazy there at the end. I mean, we went 3 wide for a little while, and you know, it was go time. So
yeah, I didn't know
you got it good. You got bumped around there with Ben Izenga, that whole 3 wide situation right after that, and you were sideways, and Ben Izenga got into your side, and that straightened you out.
Yeah, it was like, I think, you know, from watching I was just watching the replay when you guys pulled me in. It looks like you know, I might have been a tire length just a touch too low, but there's enough room there. I think Ben just kind of washed up just a little bit, got into me, which, you know how these cars react. They shoot you to the outside, and I don't know how I kept it straight. 8-to-1 ratio saved my life, I think. But then, you know, after that, it was slow. So luckily we got that caution at the end and came out here with some.
I know you guys are teammates. You had to be chatting about it during the time. It looked like the 68 of Harmon wanted to move up in front of the outside line and maybe put a block in to kind of let you in, and then you all got sandwiched in a 3-wide position there. Were you guys talking that through as it was going down?
No, it was so when I passed because I was stuck in the middle there with Tom and Wade, and when I got around the 2 on my outside, I still had a full head of steam, and Tom kind of washed up a little bit, and, you know, with 3 laps to go, you got to fill that hole. And so I did, and Tom was fine. Spencer and Ben, I believe it was, on my bottom side were fine. Wade kind of closed the door a little bit, which was okay. I let out of it, but he moved back up. It was the car on the bottom. I don't know who it was. He washed up and kind of closed the door on me, and that's when Ben and I got into it, and that's when chaos kind of struck there. But, you know, that's Daytona. That's racing. I wish it would have been a little bit of a cleaner race. It's kind of a, you know, I for being in the A split, you know, you have a little bit higher expectations, I feel. But, you know, new guys in the league, we'll figure it out, and we'll hopefully put on a good show at Rock.
Yeah, we definitely get down to the real racing next week, man. Congrats on the 7th place finish. That's a good place to at least get the start here in this nine race series. We'll see you next week at Rockingham.
Thanks, guys.
All right, man. Have a great night. That was Ryan Hesgard. He did come in 7th this evening. We will go down now. Let's see. Who else did I want to chat with? I'm going to grab, if he's still here, I wanted to chat with John Theodore, and yeah, it looks like he's got himself muted at the moment, so I'm going to skip over him for now, and we'll grab our 3rd place finisher, Joseph Helt, who did run up front all night long. Managed to come away with the 3rd place finish. Joseph Helt, you got a copy, sir?
Yeah, I got you.
Hey, you come away with the 3rd place finish tonight. You ran up towards the front all night, pretty much. What was it like there in those last couple laps, man?
It was pretty wild, man. Good way to start the season, though. So pretty happy with hanging around at the front, but really just tight racing at the end there. I was hoping we could get a finish there with the 3 of us and kind of see what happened there, but caution unfortunately came out.
Yeah, that pack of 5 or 6 that got to run away after the mix-up when everybody was 3 wide a couple laps prior, it would have been fun to watch that one go to the end for sure. But great race, awesome work, finishing in 3rd, and we got 8 more races to go. You plan to be here all Winter Series?
Open to. Don't see why not at this point. So yeah, we'll hopefully make it 8 for 8 and see what can happen.
Yeah, you joined us a little late in that A series last year, and you came out and you performed very, very well. So, looking forward to watching your race next week at Rockingham and see what else you've got for these guys. You got a shout out you want to give to anybody tonight?
Thank you guys for putting it on. Hey, shout out to iRacing. The update's awesome. Looks great. A lot of fun. So we'll see what happens with the rest of these racetracks and races. But man, it was fun tonight.
Yeah, it's almost worth the $1,000 I put into it. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely not a cheap hobby to have, that's for sure. Congratulations, Joe, on the 3rd place, man, and we'll see you next week, buddy.
Hey, thanks, guys. Have a good night.
All right, you too. Now we're going to go grab Wade Hustad, who actually, did Wade Hustad ever get a new microphone? Because I knew I couldn't interview him towards the end of last week. He has also got himself muted and
yeah, he's got himself muted
at the moment. So, oh, he just unmuted himself. Let's see if he's available. Wade Hustad, are you there?
Yeah, I am.
Hey, didn't know if you had a new mic or not. I know you were a little off at the end of the last season or whatever happened. So come away with a 2nd place finish, man. Did you think you were going to get the opportunity to finish in that position after what happened?
Honest to God, no, I didn't. It kind of seemed like racing really close. Kind of wrecked there at the end, but we'll take it. We're just a nose away from the win, but congrats to Ryan Berry on that win.
Unfortunately, I think I missed a majority of what you said. I did have a connection problem. I hope I am back online on YouTube and everybody can continue to hear this interview. I missed a majority of it. You still,
yeah, no worries, bud.
You still come away with the 2nd place, man. I don't know. You were really close with Barry there at the line. Maybe even grab 1st after all of that.
Yeah, if that yellow would have came out a little bit sooner, I think we would have been okay. He had a little bit of a run because I lifted just a tad bit when Theodore went up high. But man, that first wreck of the race, that was pretty crazy. I was checking up for it, and we almost made it through there, just kind of whizzing through back and forth, but I got sideswiped and taken out, corrected it, and kept going. But thank God for that fast repair. It got us back up there, and it was fun towards the end. I wish the race went a little green a little longer.
Well, we know you know how to wheel those mile and a half tracks. To come out here and get one at Daytona as well is pretty special, man, especially after what you showed us last season in those A cars. So congrats again. Let's hear the shout outs.
Just want to thank you guys for what you do, DRL, all the newcomers that have come on board. I really hope to see them week in and week out. I want to thank Ryan Hesgard and Spencer Tart for teaming up there, and even Harmon. We're trying to strategize towards the end and see if we can get kind of a tag team system going on that high side. So just want to thank S2R and everyone that's watching tonight.
Awesome, buddy. Well, have a great night, and we'll see you next week at Rockingham.
10-4, thank you.
And last but not least, we're going to bring in our winner in his debut DRL race, Ryan Berry. Mr. Berry, you got a copy, sir? Hello?
Ryan Berry, this is broadcast booth. Can you hear us, buddy?
Wait, you got a copy?
Yeah, I got a copy.
Hey, so very first race with the Dynasty Racing League. You come out here and get a win, man. How's it feel?
50 feet to push you to win there. I was hoping to get it for you.
Hey, do any of you know, like, when
Hello? I'm not 100% sure what's going on with Mr. Berry at the moment. Kind of hearing some.
I think Barry's picking up a little bit of the chat from the in-race.
Oh, you know, he might be on speakers or something too.
All right, we'll try one last time here. Hey, Ryan Berry, you got a copy? This is the broadcast booth here on DRL TV.
All right, well, just in the sake of saving time, ladies and gents, we are going to go ahead and close the interviews for this evening. Ryan Berry, again, in his very first race with DRL, he does come out, he does grab a win. I wanted to get, kind of his thoughts on maybe the block move that he threw, and what was that, lap 36 or so that happened, but that's okay.
There we go.
Oh,
you got a copy, Ryan?
Yeah, I got a copy now.
All right. Yeah, we had there was some feedback issues there.
Hey, so how's it feel, man? First race with DRL, you come out and grab a win.
It feels good. I mean, I was pretty nervous the entire race, not gonna lie. Just new in the DRL league, and there was a couple familiar names just from NIS races I've raced with before, but for the most part, I didn't really know anyone around. So.
Yeah, you had Joseph Helt pushing you for a while. You guys seem to be together all race as you both ran up towards the front. I got to ask, something we've been kind of wondering throughout the night. I don't remember. I think it was lap 36. You were running on the bottom line. You moved up in front of Joe Helt up on that top line, and it kind of stacked the top line up and, in my opinion, caused the incident. Was that an intentional block? Did you just wiggle up and decide to stay there? Or?
Well, no. One, I didn't know that's what caused the wreck. So I mean, I guess that's a little bit on me. No, it was intentional because I figured it was 10 to go. I'm trying to stay up front, just because with how tight the pack was, I don't want to get shuffled back and have like 3 or 4 guys all of a sudden in front of me and be harder to make a move. So I went up and I knew it was going to be clear, and then I realized that it wasn't going to stick. Like that would slow them up, and then I would have been stuck upside. So I went back down knowing I was still clear there. I thought we were all good, so I'm not sure what happened.
Yeah, no, I mean, you made the pass all clean, obviously. It just had an accordion effect on its way on back, slowed a couple guys up, and kind of, whatever, the caution flew right after that. But either way, I mean, you had 10 laps to go. Obviously, you want to keep yourself towards the front, and hey, look, it paid off. I mean, what did you beat Hustad by, like a 2,000th of a second there?
Yeah, something like that. It was crazy. I didn't think I was going to get that, actually.
Yeah, John Theodore, I guess Hustad was telling us he had, after the contact with Theodore, Hustad let off the gas just a little bit, so you got that run, and then he was starting to get the run back on you right after the caution flag flew, so we were unsure of who even won the race there for a few seconds.
Yeah, it was, I knew once Theodore and whoever else wrecked in front of me, I didn't really have any help behind me, because I think Helt was on the bottom line, and I was kind of sitting duck. He might have came back up and helped me a little bit, but I wasn't in a position where I thought I was going to be able to make that last lap, get a run, and try to get something. So I think that yellow really helped me out, and that was just some really lucky timing. Otherwise, it probably would have been Hellsad.
Well, it is Daytona. This definitely doesn't denote the rest of the season, but you put yourself in a good position here with the only 8 races left in this series, man. How you feeling about Rockingham next week?
Pretty good. I mean, I'm not sure if I'll make it yet. It's finals week for me, so I'm not sure. But never raced there before if I do make it, so that would be a learning experience. Kind of be a mulligan for me.
Well, you don't know what you're missing out on. Me and Getty, I think, feel very similar about that track. It's outstanding.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Branch, but doesn't iRacing take precedence over literally everything else in life?
Yeah, I mean, what?
Oh yeah.
Wives, children,
come on, Ryan.
finals, what?
what's a final? Except for the final lap. That's all I'm worried about.
Right. Don't need to graduate college this year. It's all good.
Very true. Very true. Go to school, kids. All right. That's the lesson anybody can take away from today. But anyway, congrats on the win once again, Ryan. You got a shout out you want to give to anybody tonight, buddy?
Really just shout out you guys because this is my first like league that has a little bit more like legitimacy and weight behind it, and just doesn't seem like as kind of a jokester league. So it's a lot of fun taking these races serious. So shout out to you guys.
It's good to hear that people considered us having weight to us. You know, that is the eventual goal of the DRL.
Bunch of suckers, right?
The eventual goal is to become the premier series of iRacing, but we know we have a lot of work to do, and you know, it's guys like you and everybody else who tunes in to watch and comes out to race every week that really makes this league what it is. So, thanks again,
Ryan. I must ask if you are planning to start with us in February. Are you planning on running the A cars or the B cars?
Probably the A cars. Just that's where I kind of focus my iRacing stuff down now once I got through everything. So
10-4, awesome. Thank you for answering that.
Well, have a great night, Ryan. Hopefully you can get that final studying out of the way, and we'll see you next week, man.
All right. Yep,
all right.
Thank you.
See you, man. Well, guys, I think that we got exactly what we expected out of tonight's race. Maybe another caution or two more than I expected. But again, it's Daytona. These cars are unfamiliar to a lot of the guys. As you just heard Barry say, he normally races in those Monster Energy Cup cars. So I don't know. How are you feeling about this one, Getty?
Well, you know, at the top of the broadcast, a couple of things I mentioned was the fact that these bumpers didn't quite line up. We did notice a little bit of net code, you know, kind of something to be aware of for tomorrow's race as well, for the B split, which I think all three of us will be in. But you know, I wanted to see this race to see kind of as far as what you want to do, whether up front is the place to be, whether in back is the place to be. And I'm telling you, if you qualify up front, you got to stay up there because it is not easy to pass here. Because it's too wide racing all night long. It's a white knuckle type race in these cars, something that we didn't really see in the A or really in the B series this season at the restrictor plate races. So very educational, and you know, it's just super exciting, Ryan. That's always fun to watch Daytona. That's what NASCAR has been built off of, is having a race in Florida at the beginning of each year, and Daytona is this is the Super Bowl of NASCAR, and there's always that little bit of extra motivation when you fire it up here. So I don't think it disappointed. Of course, there was like you said, the one or two extra cautions, but I think that's going to happen, and I think tomorrow is going to be just as exciting.
Speaking of tomorrow, all three of us will be in that race. The next broadcast tomorrow night on DRL TV will be right back here at Daytona International Speedway in Daytona Beach, Florida. That will be the B split race. Same exact race as this evening, hopefully with a couple less cautions and with me coming out as the victor. But that'll be 45 laps tomorrow night. That will go live somewhere between 9 and 9:30 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night, whenever I think it's David Wellborn will be streaming that one. He typically starts a little on the earlier side of things, so maybe closer to 9 p.m. But
our marathon broadcaster, Mr. David Wellborn.
Yes, sir. He's always here. Next race of this series is going to be next week. That is Rockingham in North Carolina. 75 laps there at Rockingham. Or I'm sorry, that's... Oh, wow, Martin's got the graphic a little off here. It says it's 2.5 miles. I hope Rockingham's not 2.5 miles.
It's a different configuration. It just got.
Oh, it didn't change that.
It's all good, Martin. So
Rockingham, we all know what Rockingham is.
Well, it'll be right for tomorrow night's broadcast.
So I believe the 75 denotes 75 laps at Rockingham, which is going to be absolutely
a mile,
crazy. Yeah, it's one of my favorite tracks. I know it's one of Getty's favorite tracks. One of the, if not the only track he's ever won in one of these K&N cars. I expect some sweet racing next week in that one, but. Tune in again tomorrow night, guys. Tune in on Sunday for the Pro Series. Big shout out I want to throw out there to all of last season's race winners or championship winners, as this is my first broadcast since the season officially closed out with that Winona Road Trucks final race at Homestead last Wednesday. Wade Hustad for that Cup Series championship. Clay Phillips coming away with the Grand National Series, and Robbie Armstrong, of course, winning in the trucks. And then much earlier in the year, Matthew DePriest there with that IndyCar Series championship that he was able, I think it was Chris Stouffer, he was able to grab that one away from there at the end of the season.
And it was he and Andrew Short in a super tight,
Short too?
Yeah, super tight battle all season. But
I know Chris Stouffer was pretty good in those as well.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
So, and then obviously to pull up all of my credits here, these things seem like they're getting bigger and bigger every day. Guys, DRL is growing. We need more staff members all the time. We need to grow with the league, and the audience is growing with the league. Thanks again to everybody for tuning in tonight. James Pandoff, Tater Bowman for making the league go round. Martin Wenzel and Jordan Gonzalez for all the graphics. David Wellborn Jr., Taylor Butcher Benjamin, Getty, yourself, Jason Taylor, just recently the addition of Mr. Weatherholtz there in that Monday night series. He's doing the Winter Road series for us. So shout out to all of those guys. And again, to you, our viewers, for tuning in with us. You guys got anything else for these guys before we let them go tonight?
No, it's going to be great. Tune in tomorrow, same time. David Wellborn will be broadcasting. It's going to be Daytona. It's going to be transitioning day to night. It's going to be the same cars, the same stuff, just different drivers, and hopefully just as exciting. And I appreciate everyone that tunes in. It's why we do this.
Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you again next week.